Assalamu alaikum everyone, I hope you're enjoying good health. Me and Frank today, we are here, and with us we have our students around. And these students primarily here for language perspective, especially for IELTS. And they would be asking some questions based upon language. We got the expert in the house. Let's see how he answers them. And somehow I'll try keep poking my nose somewhere if it is required, be it any.
Big nose though.
So yeah,
Did I say that loud?
that's how it is. I can talk to my dad about it later. So let's come back to it. It's about IELTS primarily, and all the students would ask questions. Those of you who are watching us on YouTube or anywhere, you can ask questions as well, and we'll surely address them in our next videos. So please, sir, anything you would like to say before we begin?
Well, I guess it'll be as informative for them as it is for you. So yeah, I guess let's begin.
All right, sure. So someone is making some notes already, I guess. Has written many questions to kill us. So let's see. Actually, if he asks a question, then these questions are for all of you. And that is how the Prophet taught us religion. Jibreel Islam used to come to him, used to ask question once companions were sitting, and then he was asking questions because others could get benefit of it. So that is kind of the prophetic profession, sir.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's how I connect things.
Interesting.
So yeah, G, your first question.
Sir, I have 3 questions, but my first question is that we all know that listening has 4 parts.
Okay.
First is inquiry,
Okay.
then monologue, dialogue. These the 4 parts.
Okay.
But how can we catch our answer while listening? How we can know about the answer? What are the key points?
Over to you, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, cool. Let's do it. Okay, so there is no easy way out when it comes to IELTS. You don't have to sit around and wait for the whole, chunk of questions, to end and then, get into it. No. What you need to do as a standard practice is perhaps, keep listening to it, and meanwhile you do it, you start answering the questions, all right? There are cues that are dropped, here and there, while you're listening to the script, basically.
Yeah, the audio.
The audio script. You keep listening to it, and you try to connect it with whatever information or whatever the sentences are there, in the shape of those blanks or those, what do you call them? Incomplete statements.
Incomplete statements,
right?
yeah.
So what you do is you read it once before the audio script actually begins to play.
But that time is not enough to read all the questions.
Well, in that case, you must, brush up on your skills, listening skills. That's the idea, because it's ample time.
This problem is not for me, but I think it's for all of our friends.
That's what I'm saying. I guess you need to, brush up on your listening skills then. Because they have a standard time,
I have a second opinion on that as well,
Please.
sir, if you allow.
Go.
First of all, whenever the question starts or even a section starts, you have some time to listen.
Precisely.
Before listening, you have some time to read the questions. Now here comes the role of grammar. Okay, for example, you're doing multiple choice questions, and the statement says something. It ends at the part where it is supposed to be a place of an object, or it is a blank which is supposed to be the place of a subject. And object and subject grammatically they will be nouns every time. So you now have to think about noun part. If there is any verb, if there is any adjective, or if there is any other part which you think, for example, any preposition.
That's a good one.
So such part is supposed to be eliminated, eradicated, because that is a distractor. That is not a real answer. Now you may be left with 2 answers. So now it's easy to read, to listen, and to choose one of those. Number 1. Number 2, once you have time and you are going into the part, all the questions are connected. It's not OET. In OET, we have different scripts. In IELTS, from, for example, question number 1 to question number 10, it is all one part. Okay, for example, if you're doing maps, that is the toughest or the worst in IELTS listening, in my case as well. So what we do, we try, activating our general knowledge. Okay, for example, if you're looking for a car parking, we cannot look it near to the kitchen.
Exactly.
We can look it near to maybe the main entrance, perhaps, or maybe it can be in the basement part. So such is the general common sense which we need to activate.
And I'd like to add up to it, when it comes to those audio scripts, all right, you actually have to consider the fact that it all comes in a sequence. All right.
Yes.
So once you latch on to the first blank, or the first bit of information, once you get that, after that, the rest of the information, it's common sense that it'll, just come in the sequence. All right. So you should, somehow connect the written script to the audio script, and kind of match and go with the information that is coming your way. Actually, that's the idea.
Yes, and for instance, for example, you were doing question number 13 to 19. You went to question number 15 and you were enjambled or maybe puzzled. You couldn't find the answer. I hope you're understanding all of you. So the good idea is not to stick upon that because audio would not be stopped, neither it would be replayed.
Precisely.
So yeah, so what you need to do is you need to skip that part and you have to rush towards the next one.
Precisely.
And that is most important. And try finding the keywords before the blanks, after the blanks. That particular keyword which will lead you, and try thinking of synonymous word or maybe negative antonymous words.
And the reason is sometimes the information required is direct, all right, precisely the word that you're looking for, all right, and sometimes it's an indirect reference to that particular expression. So in either case, you need to be, I believe, able enough to decipher the information. That's right.
That is the thing. That is the thing. And sometimes it's not that you have a word and you would find an equivalent word for that. Sometimes it's a complete phrase, and you try thinking of that word and that word it was nowhere. And that is a time in which you are supposed to activate your regular language skills. Okay, and practice makes a man perfect.
Precisely. That's where I start.
Thank you.
Listening, because it's part of reception, and reception is always improved once you keep receiving. Then you keep receiving the keynotes. It's good to receive the question again and again. For example, start with first 10 questions. Go by 10 questions. Let's say 3 of them are gone. No problem. Go back, listen to 3, listen to 1, and then complete that. And then you would get to know how do you find out. We are from language background. We have different connections with language. I am not sure about your background though, but still if it's not a language background, then you would slightly take some longer than usual in processing.
Yes.
You understand me, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next question.
Yeah. You have a question?
Yes.
Sir, can I get the phone? I guess that is supposed to be given to him. Whoever is asking question, I guess it is supposed to be in front of him or her. Sir.
Okay, so my question is, in IELTS speaking part 2, I sometimes get cue card actually. I sometimes get out of ideas, out of words. So would you like to give us some tips regarding that?
Well, the most typical way of dealing with it is to fill it with fillers. Your conversation actually. But it's not recommended. All right, when you're having an intelligent conversation with someone, or a casual conversation. I mean, perhaps in a casual conversation, what you do is you use fillers here and there. I hope you're familiar with the idea of fillers. So fillers could be, words. They could be sounds. All right, they could be perhaps gestures.
Sounds like
Exactly. I don't know if he's the right kind of person in general, but as far as speeches are concerned, or oration is concerned, the art of oration, one of the modern day examples, a good example is perhaps Barack Obama.
Oh yeah.
If you listen to his speeches, he barely uses any fillers. Perhaps by the end of his terms, now that he's old and stuff, now he does use those fillers. But generally speaking, he never uses fillers. One of the key ways to go about it is perhaps talking slow. All right. Measure your words, or weigh your words before they come out of your mouth. All right. Number 2, this is one of the $1 million tips. All right, that's what I call it. All right, because it works like a charm if you are capable enough to, perhaps exercise it. All right, and this is for you guys as well. So, when it comes to a conversation, deliberately focus on the next word that's about to come out of your mouth. You do that, and I can guarantee your conversations will be a bit more fluent, a bit more to the point, a bit more, refined.
I'll try giving it some desi touch speech. Yeah.
Well, please.
As far as his understanding is concerned, of course, that's there. For typically Pakistani students, but I have observed since last 7 years, and I keep on saying this statement again and again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You have a minute to plan.
Agreed.
And in the planning phase, if you say, all right, I'm planning in my head, then your language is in your head, not at your tongue. So it's... Yeah, thanks for reminding us. So when it comes to this time, 1 minute time, try making maybe what do we say? A line, bullet points. I would recommend going by a U shape. We call it a bell curve. and try highlighting all the aspects the question has. For example, the question has 4 things: who, when, where, why. And would you like to maybe recommend it to someone, the last one. So what you need to do is you need to address all kind of question tags with your particular regular language, and try using Ahmed, Bashir, Ismail. It's not a problem. Then becoming John Wick or someone. It's all right, because we are in
It'd be cool, for John Wick.
Yeah, but he's broke sometimes. So
He's got cool guns.
oh yeah, he got the guns, but they're there for the bands, not for the bullets, right? So let's come back to it. So if you plan it and then you present it, you go very well. If you go unplanned, you go shabby. For example, you have to start with the background. You have to start with where. We call it Dexis. Dexis of time, Dexis of place. Back in 2012, this thing happened at my house. I was with my friend. The story you have to make. And this is international English language test, not lie test. So lie as much as you can, please.
But make it believable, alright?
Yeah, of course. Don't fly the donkeys, perhaps.
Exactly.
But of course, believable. So try blending the truth with the truthfulness. That's not true.
Yeah, I mean, kind of associate if you could.
Yeah,
if possible.
and be imaginative, basically.
Exactly. Try and merge imagination or
reality.
Things, out of context, perhaps.
Blend that
within
together.
Context, actually. But perhaps things that you may not have done, but still perhaps heard about them, and they let's say they fit the context. You talk about them.
Content has no point in speaking.
Exactly.
It's majorly your fluency.
Precisely. And accuracy. Actually.
And accuracy.
And vocabulary range.
And vocabulary range. And the connections you're making. And the start and stop. Okay. And do not go by a bell. I ask you to make a bell curve, but that doesn't mean that belongs to us, like animals. Bell ring and you have to stop. No. Let the bell ring. Let the person ask you to stop. Then, I know people who go to the climax. They say, and then I found, ding, 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 they stop. How was my bell?
That was nice. Very much believable.
So they are supposed to have a smooth landing. Okay. So let it get properly landed so that you complete it. And in this way, so let me connect back to you. The question was, I have lack of ideas, shortage of ideas. So what you can do, you can plan them out, and you can keep going by that. Then you would be okay. And then try putting some imagination part in that.
And one more thing, when it comes to those bullet points, make sure that they're bullet points and not sentences. Alright? Because don't write them with the intention of, keeping the paper in front of you and you're reading out of it. No. They're just there in that piece of paper, it's just there in your hand. Just in case you have to, take a look, take a peek. That's it.
That's the thing. If you would write more, you would read more.
Precisely.
If you will write less, you will speak more. And that is speaking test, not reading test.
And they judge you for it, basically. If you start reading from the paper, they'll probably deduct your buttons.
Especially there are 2 types now once you take speaking, okay? I hope you're not dragging it so much, but we're trying giving answers to all of the speaking sessions, basically. So now one is video conferencing, next is in person. I would recommend go by video conferencing, as per my personal knowledge is concerned. You won't find any local no offense to any locals though, but local means that the one who are being studied by Punjab University, maybe Namal or somewhere, they did not get the marks themselves, did not want to give bands to anyone. They are that kind of people.
Yeah.
They are my friends mostly.
I know.
So what you are supposed to do, try going for video conferencing one. Okay? So you would have a foreigner over there, first of all. Secondly, in that time, if you would look around for longer, that person would feel that someone is helping you out. Like we read newspaper. So you have to look into the eye mostly, and then if you're making part 2 of it, then you should look the place. Here you would have your, laptop. They would have a laptop, a regular system. No one would be there in the house, in the
vicinity.
Room. Yeah, in the vicinity. So you can look here. If you would look around here and there, they would feel that there is something, what we call fishy going on.
Wow.
So, you got the point?
Yes.
We'll keep speaking, so stop us sometimes, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's our job. That's how we're being paid.
Next.
Next is now.
2 questions.
Glad to see, glad to hear.
My first question is how to write the general statement of introductory paragraph.
Well, that's a good question. So you write well, I know. Okay.
All right. Introductory paragraph of basically what? Right? Are we talking about writing section?
Part 1 or part 2?
Part 1.
Which one are you talking about?
General or academic?
Academic statement.
Academic. Part 2, introductory, what?
General statement.
General statement, you're talking about the first statement
The
you're
first
making?
statement.
Okay, sir, should I?
Go ahead.
Okay, so as far as the first statement is concerned, we do not have to think anything in that. Then just letting the person know that we know what you're talking about and what you want to know from us. For example, the question is, the car is disastrous 20th century invention, which has made the cities look maybe ugly or something. This is the statement. Do you agree or disagree? For example. So general questions are there. You don't have to say, yes, I agree with the statement initially, first of all. Let's negate what should not be there. Because that is part of thesis statement. That is the last sentence of complete first paragraph. You are supposed to rephrase the question with the head words. Dangerous, disastrous, car, invention. 4 head words. Car is supposed to be replaced by a maybe vehicle, maybe automobile, maybe conveyance, or whatever suits over there. Dangerous should be used a different way. For example, it has some cons. Cons is negative, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you would do, you would rephrase the statement and you would rewrite. Okay? It is generally believed that automobile industry has revolutionized the state, but in a negative way. In the upcoming paragraphs, I will try to talk about the positives and negative aspects of this. This can be a general one, a very general one. Because in the second and third paragraph, you may disagree with comfort. If
No,
I'm
no,
there.
I'm fine.
Okay, second and third paragraph is supposed to be elaboration on that.
Yeah,
You need to
body
elaborate.
paragraphs, basically.
Yeah. So the first one, let me tell again.
We're talking about the essay, right?
I'm talking about the essay.
Yeah.
So it is not supposed to be some statistics involved, some data which you think is made by you. No, it is supposed to be a rephrasing statement which is given up there. And guess what? The last one is supposed to be a rephrase of the first rephrase you did.
Yeah, let me
And
just
that is how we
let me elaborate upon
Please
it.
do so.
Basically, about introduction and conclusion, what they say, generally is, in introduction, tell them what you are going to tell them, and for conclusion, tell them what you have already told them.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
The same thing in
Right.
different way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you want to continue?
No. You please.
All right. So if you want to break it down further from a technical point of view, in introduction you need to make sure that you have your thesis statement somewhere in there, because in your introductory paragraph it is extremely important for you to have that. It could be the very first sentence or it could be the last sentence of the first paragraph. All right, but it needs to be there in the introductory paragraph. And by a general convention, I believe you're supposed to have at least 5 paragraphs in total, in the essay, at least. All right.
250 words precisely. So
5 paragraphs makes sense.
Yeah.
50 words each,
Yeah.
perhaps, give or take. And for each paragraph after the first paragraph, you need to have your topic sentences sorted. All right. Make sure that each topic sentence that introduces the paragraph, topic sentence is in a way, a summary of what's going to come in the paragraph. All right. It kind of builds up to that moment. All right, where you put in all the information. So your topic sentences need to be top notch. All right, based on perhaps some bullet points that you may have taken down in the beginning to write down the essay, just to keep your train of thought in line. And finally, your conclusion needs to be it needs to have a remark that sums it up. The usual example that I give is your paragraphs. They're like, say, your shoelaces. All right, each loop is a paragraph, except for the last one. The last one is where you tie the knot. No matter how well you tie the loops, all right, or put the loops in, no matter how beautifully, if you don't tie it up in the end, it's going to come off your shoe. All right, so you need to wrap it up. So do not start another point of, say, argument. In your last paragraph, you need to wrap it up. So wrap it up nicely.
Yeah. So just wrap it up. This
And one more
wrap
thing
this question
in
up.
thesis
You have any
statement-
question?
Yes, one question.
Is it associated with the previous question?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
let's listen to him as it is associated.
In the thesis statement in disagree and agree essay,
Yeah.
that we say
Argumentative
that
essays.
I tend to agree. So we should write the reason for why we are agreeing.
No, the reason comes later.
Yeah, you're
All
talking
right.
about the first paragraph, right?
Exactly.
You just say what you feel.
You
And
in
then-
the thesis statement, we
in the
don't have to
thesis-
write the.
No, that comes later.
The
Perhaps
reason.
in the second paragraph.
Yeah, no suggestions, no recommendations, no feelings.
Exactly.
So don't put that there. Just, I understood what you want from me. Now I'll tell you how do I explain. in the upcoming paragraphs.
Exactly.
So you were saying something.
So my second question is that how to write smoothly.
Very good
Good.
question.
Use a good pen.
Use a good pen and paper too at the same time, and make sure that there is no curvy ground.
Exactly, and it's stable, nice and
Stable?
smooth. Yeah. But seriously though,
Okay.
good vocabulary bank, I suppose, and one of the key aspects is brainstorming.
Yeah.
Right? One of my teachers, at some point, he suggested, and I really, kind of praise his imagination because it really works out. He said, say if you have around 30 minutes to write the whole thing, all right, even if you had to spend 2/3 of the time brainstorming, do it. I know it's an extreme case, but even if it comes down to it, spend 2/3 of the time brainstorming and 1/3 of the whole time. Say if it's 30 minutes,
The remaining time.
Yeah, exactly. Use it to write down. Why? Because when you brainstorm, you get your ideas in order. All right. If you don't do it before writing, what happens is you just keep thinking impromptu. You write the first paragraph and you think, okay, what do I write next? Right? You think about it for 5 minutes and then you start writing again. And once again, you lose your train of thought. All right. So don't do that. If you already have your points taken down or written down in a sequence, you can use those points, as your perhaps topic sentences for each paragraph, and then just relate to those points and just keep going for it. Ta-da.
That's the same thing. For example, if someone wants to have a good body, it doesn't mean that he just goes to the gym and for the next morning he says, okay, now I am muscular.
Are you
It takes
defending
time.
the idea that you're lazy?
Kind of. So what happens exactly is you need to take your time to be to that part. What we want shortcuts in writing, in speaking, in listening, in reading, and which is why such kind of academies are going well.
Okay.
That's the truth. So what I'm doing exactly with you is, if you need to go to the level, you need to start from the very basic level. For example, you write and you read yourself. Now this is ChatGPT world.
Oh, that's actually a very good point. Especially in the examination scenario. And I make it a habit. Whenever you write something in an academic setting, or of course if you're an author, you have other people do it for you. All right. But in an academic setting, once you're done writing your text, make sure you spare 5 minutes at least, to go through it, especially with IELTS and all that, right? What happens is any,
Loophole.
Yeah, exactly. Any mistakes you may have inadvertently, committed, you'd be able to take care of them in those 5 minutes.
That is the thing. And as far as the practice part is concerned, you write it, you check it yourself.
Yeah.
Take 2 months, write the first paragraph, and then check it after 2 months of the struggle. You'll be able to find plethora of problems, mistakes over there. And that is the building of a good writing style. If I would stop writing for longer, my writing would be all rusted. I would not be able to do it well. So what I'm trying to say is, try not focusing on to something like how can I write smooth. First, try write and then make it smooth. Okay.
In short, use a better pen.
Yeah, a better pen. Yeah.
Sir,
You have a question?
yes, I have one question related to essay writing. When I was writing, so I get it out of ideas. And the second thing is that I forget it all vocabulary which I memorize.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I wasn't able to use those vocabulary in correct place. Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Any other problem you have? You have stethoscope with you right now?
I left it home. I don't know. We'll have to improvise.
All right, okay. So yeah, he is one of my favorite students. I call him romantic.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a separate story.
Interesting.
Fine then, sir. Are you going up?
I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so first of all, you don't remember things. The tip that I gave him initially, break them down into bullet points. Your essay. Okay. Let's say you're going to write 5 paragraphs. First and last are always introduction and conclusion. All right. The 3 paragraphs in between, or maybe 4 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs, depending on how many paragraphs you want to put there. Make sure that you have your brainstorming done and you use a spare piece of paper and write them down what you're going to write down in the essay. All right. Maybe a phrase perhaps suggesting this paragraph is going to be for example, we were talking about pollution.
Okay.
All right. Causes of pollution. Modern day pollution. Perhaps the first paragraph could be about introduction, as usual. All right. And the second paragraph could be perhaps a bit of historical background. All right. Or industrial revolution. Maybe.
What I'm understanding while his talk, he has slightly a different problem.
No, there were two points.
2 points he had.
The first one was like he forgets what he's going to write
forgets,
about. All right.
And the second?
What's vocabulary?
Okay. So, sorry to cut you.
No, go ahead, please.
So what's going on here, basically, in our skills, speaking, listening, reading, writing. Writing is the skill that is always planned. In speaking, for example, now here's camera, you have people, we have pressure somehow.
Do you? Atmospheric pressure?
Saying it.
Okay.
4 of my students went out and I'm thinking of them, 1 lakh rupee, gone.
There go.
So, okay. The thing is, this time you go planned. In speaking, you go unplanned. For example, you say what you have to, but you don't write what you have to. You write what your reader wants to read. Okay? And the vocabulary part which you're highlighting, that's what we call semantic field. More synonyms you have, more vocabulary you would learn. The problem with us is we try going for high vocabulary items. And we don't know how to associate such vocabulary. And that's what we call vocabulary. Vocabulary is like salary, I keep saying it.
Okay.
You have less, you survive, you have more, you survive, but more lavishly. So try having the basic too. I keep giving good ones, you see. So what I'm trying to tell you, try planning it very well. Don't go unplanned that, okay, what will come my way, I will write it. Don't do that. So the planning phase, of course, it has, pre-production. Then production, then post-production. Getting technical here.
No.
Pre-production part in which we don't want us to get bored of it. So we're trying, having fun. Don't mind this. No offense to any one of you. And it's not for you, it's for us so that we stay awake. It's almost ending hour of, not our life, but the day.
You never know, man.
You never know.
Everything's so unpredictable these days.
So yes, go planned in your writing and try finding synonymous word of even simple words. I gave example of car. It's very simple. So you should have different words. Okay. For example, someone is, let's say, impolite. Okay. So if you want to go for advanced word, the advanced word could have been uncouth. And that word is not necessarily fit into all kind of talks. So what you need to know is the basic. And try avoiding that very thing quite often. For example, you use very good, very better, very best. Find appropriate words for such. Very delicious, scrumptious.
Superlative words.
Very big, immense. Massive. Okay. So
depends actually. That too, it depends.
Yeah.
Big may have multiple synonyms, all right, and they could be used in different scenarios, all right.
And reading makes a man perfect.
Right, exactly.
If you want to improve your writing, read more. If you want to improve your speaking, listen more. And if you want to prepare for IELTS, come to GSO.
Woohoo and whoop-de-doo.
Next,
One thing is another. So, how I remove my spelling mistake?
If you won't write, you won't remove.
Any special
Sir is expert.
Am I?
Spelling mistakes.
Okay, all right. Spelling mistakes. Well, interesting.
Yeah, shall I?
Interesting. You go ahead, I'll catch up. Yeah.
So what's going on here? Spellings has hardly, if you don't mind doing this. First of all, spellings have hardly 30 rules. 40 rules of love. So 30 rules. And if you know those 30 rules, first 80% problem would be gone. For example, the word is believe and receive. The rule is you always put EI after C. You're taking the second rule.
I before E except after C.
EI before C.
I before E except after C.
That's the thing, EI after C. In my way, I have crammed it in that way. So.
Fair enough.
So for example, receive, R-E-C-E-I-V-E, receive. Believe, B-E-L-I-E-V, sound is same, E sound. So why is it E-I or I-E? That is the rule. C-E-I-L-I-E. Okay, likewise there are some rules. Besides that, if it is difficult to remember, there are some, we have some choppers upstairs.
What choppers?
Choppers,
What choppers?
You know choppers?
Like
Alleys?
Okay, so there are different types of choppers.
I'm talking.
There are choppers, alright, there are choppers and there are choppers. Alright.
There is one chopper who's chopping the chopper.
Nice. That makes sense.
Yeah,
if nothing
the
else.
tongue twisters though. First of all, you have to understand and cram those rules. Secondly, once you read, don't read. Scan and focus on the shapes of the words. How this word is shaped. So once you would start writing the scanner we have inside it, we call it language acquisition device. That would help you portraying the scanned version of it, and the spellings would be good.
Do you have it?
I have a scanner.
Okay, that's
Until
nice.
the age of puberty, it works very well.
Right. Then
And
it gets fried.
And then after it is difficult. So you understand that? Scan the words once you read. Don't go for only the understanding part of it. Go for the wording and try finding the spellings out of it.
And one more tip. All right.
Yeah.
All of you. It's for all of you. All right.
I hope it's not boring for most. No?
Even if it is, they have to stick
What
around.
else can they do here? They have paid for getting bored.
They have no life.
All right, sir.
Just kidding.
Yep.
Anyway, so the idea is most of you use social media. All right. One of my old friends, identified this problem with me because I used to have this issue too. Suddenly, I developed this issue. So back in the day, when I first started using cell phones, being young, text messages and all that.
Yeah,
that's what we used to-
TTYL.
Exactly.
Talk
All
to you
right.
later.
So instead of writing you, Y-O-U, we would
Yeah.
write you, the alphabet U.
Oh yeah.
That ruins your spellings.
Sometimes we
All
have
right.
to decode what did they write.
Yes.
One of my friends, his name is Noman, and he writes
Noman?
know me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, know me, and he wrote it like 9, the numeric, and M-E. That
Nice.
was the next level thing.
Nice.
Know me.
Avoid that because it becomes a habit. Humans are creatures of habit, basically.
Yeah, the
right?
creatures.
So the moment you start doing this sort of stuff, you get accustomed to it. Eventually, what happens is you start using the same sort of construction, in your formal, informal situations too. I came across answer sheets,
Okay.
right, filled with this sort of language.
That
I
is
was
the
like,
thing. That is
what?
the thing. And they're not doing it deliberately.
Exactly, it becomes a habit.
It becomes, and after that, such kind of linguists, they get help of it, Then they introduce Grammarly, take a paid version.
Yeah.
Then they introduce ChatGPT
I think we
and such
should
things.
look into it too.
GSL LMS supports it.
Nice.
An unpaid promotion, sir.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you got the idea, G?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the question. I would like to listen to you. He's our fresher today. It's his first time.
Worst
Please
day?
ask question.
First day is the worst day.
Yeah, language. Not registered though, so please. Yes.
How we can improve our vocabulary?
Ooh, he's just asking it for asking it, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Eat more almonds.
Yeah. Soaked. Soaked almonds. In the night, take a glass of water, put 7 almonds.
And write some words on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
dunk them in that water, or
In the
leave
morning.
them, exactly till morning. And
Don't
then
forget to drink the water later.
Exactly. it is bound to help you.
And then you have to sit upside down so that it goes to the
To the
head.
head, yes. That's the tip.
Vocabulary, sir.
Okay.
Let's come back to the serious part of it.
All right, fair enough. So, read more, I believe. You need to read more. You need to develop a habit of reading. That is one way. I know it's long and arduous, but you have to take this road.
That's permanent.
Exactly.
That's permanent.
Exactly.
You don't forget because you read with the expressions, you read with the context,
Precisely.
and connotation and denotation. Both parts help you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. So, I guess that's one of the tips that I would
Yeah.
like
For others, I have a recorded session. I'll give the cue on that.
Fair
You may watch that later. Your question.
Yes, sir. We take only 4 process: speaking or listening. No problem in this angle. We have problem in reading.
Okay.
We have no
Come
idea.
out of the classroom for now.
We don't have any idea about reading.
No problem. Don't have any idea about reading?
Yes.
That's a
It's
good
simple
idea.
reading or questions.
You need to know what is there in the reading module of IELTS. Okay, let me take it.
Please.
Alright, so first of all, reading has 60 minutes in IELTS test. It's major. There are going to be 3 different passages. Easy, difficult, the toughest. 2200 to 2700 words roughly you would read. Not exactly all of them. We'll talk about the minute details, but that's there. You have multiple choice questions, true, false, not given questions, yes or not given questions, matching the heading, matching the columns, gap filling, map filling, table filling, and such kind of questions, and summary perhaps. In general training, it has small summary in the end. So that kind of questions you would find, and you have to go through the text and you have to find the answer. We call it reading comprehension, and that's what you have in reading test. Okay, good boy.
Sir, I
I am new, so I don't know the exact structure of the test.
Of the test. Okay, we can talk about it. Actually, now you're making it personal to you. It is general questioning session, so we would go with that way. You have a question. I have an answer. No answer then. Good. Ma'am, you have a question? No questions? Ma'am, you have a question? Really, no question? Was that boring?
I guess they already understood whatever we said.
Okay. You have a question?
So, if examiner is asking some question and we are elaborating, we are getting the ideas, if we start somewhere, so how can we communicate or connect the other paragraph or continue our conversation with the examiner?
Is it pertaining to speaking?
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sir. Your major part.
Keep it natural. All right. It's perfect to take pauses. All right, but don't make them look awkward. For example, I'm talking right now, and if I forget something, I probably think about it. Maybe use some fillers.
We get confused or
Exactly.
sometimes stuck. We have lack of words, we have lack of knowledge. So we got stuck. So what should we do?
So just to make yourselves comfortable, and it really helps. What I have figured out, in fact, it's a common practice, I believe, among people who understand this.
You figure out common practices quite often, sir.
Yeah. Do I? Keen observation.
Okay.
Anyway, so the idea is use your gestures, non-verbal, gestures, right? Your non-verbal communication cues. Right? Use your hands. Take breaks.
Yeah.
Pauses, as I suggested earlier.
And don't let yourself look stuck.
Yeah. Don't feel stressed.
Give meaningful pauses if there are no pauses here.
Precisely.
Meaningful pauses. For example, someone is stuck and he or she is, dripping down the flute from here and making some. I'm not good at acting though.
Giving some confused expression.
Yeah, that expression is supposed to be avoided.
So
So
let's say, as I said, use fillers. For example, you're going down a sentence and you suddenly forget a word. Instead of just staying quiet and looking, all bamboozled, which you could do. I mean, you simply say, there used to be this word, that is used. I can't recall it, all right? But I believe, and then you take that moment to perhaps at the back of your head, you probably think about that word and blurt it out.
The other way would be, you may try saying it differently, okay? Yeah. If you get stuck, so you say, well, actually I'm trying to say is, and then you restart.
Yeah. So whenever you get stuck on a word, there is always a way of bypassing that word by using a few more words to elaborate it. All right?
Oh, yeah.
Try and do that.
And most importantly, try getting exposed in front of camera for longer.
Or the mirror.
Or the
Talk to
mirror,
yourself.
yeah, so that you are not shy at all.
But don't be a
about such
narcissist,
Oh yeah. All right. So, any other questions we have?
What else?
Do you have a question? No question. No one else has a question. You have a question? Please ask question.
Sir, is it important to look at the examiner while speaking?
Why do you look so worried, first of all?
Yeah.
Sir, I met yesterday somewhere with a friend and I'm very tired.
Oh,
You are super young so far,
Sir,
Skinny
but
too.
I have
I'm carrying the weight, but I'm
of the world.
Yeah, of the world. Okay, so that's a separate story. For example, I speak to you, and I say, okay, what's your name?
Imran.
Imran. Okay, Imran. So what I'm trying to say is basically that you don't have to look around, Imran. Imran. Actually, the problem is that people, Imran. The thing is, I'm addressing you and I'm looking somewhere around. So it would look so odd. Likewise, let's take it as Sunnah. Whenever Prophet ﷺ used to be called by any prophet, any of the companions, Prophet never ever spoken like this to the people. He used to direct properly,
Sir,
and he used to talk.
Yes, you are turning too much. I'm talking about.
I understand. I was just trying to exaggerate. We call it hyperbole, euphemism somehow.
No, hyperbole.
Yeah, one of those. So I was telling that I know more figure of speech.
Right, of course.
So what I'm trying to say, that is a good way that you give respect to someone. While you look into the eye, and a friendly eye contact you maintain than a scary one, okay?
Well, that could work too, depending on the time.
If you need money from someone with a pistol.
You could have a gun under the table,
Okay, don't tell it in front of camera.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So
no offense, British
So
Council.
it's always good to have an eye contact. It's always good to look at the person. What else would you do? You would look at the ceiling.
Sir, when I'm speaking and I'm stuck somewhere and I'm thinking that
It's a common practice, you know. My way, I go left top, that side. So people have different areas to go to. Sometimes they go up. They do it. It's all right. That's a separate story. Then you look up and you try cutting some stock out of it, and then you come back. It's all right.
But don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Like every single time someone asks you a question and you start looking under the table, you know, hey, okay,
Where is my stock?
Where's the answer? You know? Don't do that.
All right, and I hope it did not hurt.
No, just
right.
broke
So,
my
gee,
knee.
yeah, that's how it is. Do we have any specific questions? I hope it is informative. I am just taking care of my my media manager. He does not have a stand. Rather,
Yeah.
his standing hand is almost broken.
He's
So,
got-
if we don't have any questions, shall we say
Wrap
bye?
it up.
You have a question?
We would like
Please.
to know about sir.
Okay.
Oh, that's a mystery wrapped in an enigma. You know, I mean,
Well,
it takes time. You know.
That could be done
They should go to Rap Lab to unwrap
I
that.
suppose, you know. At moments such as this, I usually say it's not about the person, it's about the ideas.
So what about your accent? You
What
got
happened?
such a great accent.
Oh,
How
I
did you-
thought there was something wrong with it.
Yeah, no, he said, what about your accent? How dare you speaking like
Exactly.
that? You don't look native at all.
I don't know.
All right.
I got surprised.
Now they're coming to the personal questions, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, you know, discuss these things.
Okay, what we will do is, you please give us your email, sir would write his autobiography and we'll send that to you.
And you guys online, you know, if you have any questions related to IELTS, perhaps OET, PTE, SAT,
Yeah.
or you know, language in general, you know, you can always type in the comments and ask the expert.
I will talk about that, especially if you want to move abroad, UK, Australia, any English-speaking country with the right people to come to. Let us not listen from us, listen from the best we have, rather the success stories we
Absolutely,
have
you
done
know,
so far.
show them the wall. Show them the wall.
Okay, that is
That's
all
just a reflection of what we do, you know.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you all. And if you haven't subscribed the channel, please
Yeah.
do.
Please do. Please
Normally
do.
we don't do it, but please do it. So support us.
Yeah, because that's how it expands and that's how other people get to know about it.
Yeah.
In no way we are monetizing it.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.